welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm Nick.
I'm Amanda.
And I am apparently in a hurricane or tropical storm, but nobody told the storm. And it's just, I don't know, kind of just breezing through. It's a little bit of rain. Other people from around the country are calling me and making sure I'm okay. And meanwhile, like my dog's outside just chilling. Like, it's fine. I think it's being sensationalized a little bit. Maybe it's just a low news cycle week. You know, there's just not nothing to talk about. So let's talk about California getting some rain. But you know, it's like one of those things where, like, if you didn't prepare and it was a disaster, you know, fucking everybody would be like, you know, well, what's wrong with our infrastructure and all that stuff. So, yeah, everybody's fine so far. It's supposed to keep ramping up until 6 o'clock, but that's 1 hour from now. So, you know, if it keeps ramping up at this rate, we're fine. There's no problems. Bobby, have you seen anything?
Nope, just a lot of rain. So
yeah, but would you even call it heavy rain?
No, if nobody would have told me that this was a hurricane or a tropical storm, I wouldn't have thought anything of it, honestly. But you know what? You got to prepare. I mean, they anticipated a storm, and it could have been a lot worse. I guess it could still be. So my girlfriend was like texting me, like, you should pull cash out and make sure you have a go bag and pull off all your furniture off the patio. And I'm just like, I'm not doing any of that.
But had the power gone out for 5 days, she would have then been right.
I would have just killed myself, probably.
Wow.
Jeez. You can do it so easily from your room, dude. You can just literally
jump right off.
Death is what, 9 steps away from you right now? That is crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's a pretty long fall from where I'm at.
Everybody be nice to Bobby, dude. He has a cliff 9 steps away from his computer.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much, man. If the internet is out for a day, then I'm looking at that ledge.
That ledge is looking real nice.
Oh my god.
That is so dark. Well, things that are not dark but actually probably bring a lot of light is video games. This is a video game podcast. And so moving on into it, we've got things on the radar. These are games that have come to our attention. Maybe we didn't play it a ton. Maybe we played just a little demo. Maybe we saw it, was like, that looks neat. So that's what these are, games that are on the radar. I'm going to start with Standbox. That's the one I put on mine, which is kind of a physics sandbox. You're basically bullying a ragdoll. So, you know, if you're feeling dark and angry and pissed off, this is probably a great game for that, because you can just sit there and, you know, shoot this ragdoll, throw him, push him. Just, it kind of looks like a goofy Gary's mod with but it's dark, you know. There's like definitely a lot of blood and a lot of craziness to it. It's very violent, but it's mostly a physics game. So far it's got very positive reviews. There's only 182, but still it's 95% very positive. Came out 6 days ago, so relatively new, and $8. So I mean, it just seems like a mix between troll and therapy and interesting physics.
Shit, it looks pretty gnarly.
It'll be really therapeutic when you can graft your boss's face on the little guy. But I think you nailed it with the Gary's mod, because I think it was like the very first thing I did with Gary's mod is see what I could do with the ragdolls, you know, just kind of like strap rockets to the little limbs and just see what happens. So that's what it looks like to me.
Man, did you ever play the Just Cause series?
Yeah, I tried, dude. I played 3. I don't know if I did have a controller at the time or something, but the keyboard controls were the worst thing I've ever played. I'm sure it was good on console, but it was unplayable on PC, at least at the time.
No, yeah. The only reason I ask is because there's like a lot of ragdoll physics and like physics in that game that like you mess around with.
Yeah, because of the grappling hook and like grappling things together and stuff, right?
Yeah, and then there's also like these little like sticky rockets that you can put on anything, and it's just nuts. Yeah. But so is there anything else you wanted to say about this game, Days? It looks pretty interesting.
No, that's just it. It just seems like a pretty fun. I mean, I feel like the name is a little lazy, right? Standbox, like, okay, because your dude is standing and it's a sandbox physics, like, cool, whatever, bro. But it does look like a very fun game, especially for $8 and like therapeutic, especially if you got a little bit of a violent and dark side. Hell yeah, this looks pretty good. So I don't know. That's Standbox, but I don't know. I feel like Emilio, you've got quite a bit on your. Oh, tell me about Shadow Gambit, the Cursed Crew. I actually played this a bit on the Next Fest when they had demos going on. What did you think of this?
I didn't play it, but the demo is, I think, still live. But I have also played the other games that this developer has made, and they have quite the track record. So it's me games, and they have also made, let's see, Desperados 3 and Shadow Tactics. Shadow Tactics you can pick up for $4 right now. It's 90% off, and it's overwhelmingly positive with like 27,000 reviews. Desperados is overwhelmingly positive with let's see, like 8,000 reviews. And then so now this is the newest one, Shadow Gambit. So the first one's samurais, second one is like gunslingers, and now the newest one is pirates. And it's already overwhelmingly positive with almost 600 reviews, 97%. These games always do really well. They're tactics-based games, more tactics than it is like story or even more than XCOM. Like imagine XCOM, but like all it is the tactics part of it. You know, there's a little bit of story, but that's definitely not the focus. There's good voice acting and all of that, but definitely what you're going to be spending most of your time doing is infiltrating really large like areas. You know, play it however you want, stealth or loud or whatever. Every character has their own abilities, and so you get this crew of like this motley crew of just like different characters, and you can main whichever one you want. You know, you just use that one more than the other ones, so you end up playing like that more. Anyway, they're really well done, these games. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. They always do well. I think I probably put the most time into Shadow Tactics, but I never finished it. But yeah, I can't recommend these games enough. They are very much like PC games. You know, a lot of clicking and you know, it's like not a CRPG, but more computer based. I think you'd have a harder time playing this on console. Anyway, yeah, I would start with Shadow Tactics for $4 if you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought Shadow Gambit was, like I said, pretty cool. The demo's out there right now still to play, so people can make their own decisions with it as well. But like the tactical RPG of this is really nice to me, because I mean, I remember you played quite a bit of Weird West.
Yeah.
Because to me, at least when I played this demo, I liked the demo a lot. But the one thing I did not like about the demo was the exact same thing that I did not like about Weird West, which is actually how reliant on stealth it is. And like everything stealth checks, and in ways I don't mind that, because like with Baldur's Gate 3, like I love the rogue and doing the stealth checks and being sneaky and things like that, but I like a variety with that. Whereas I felt like this game and Weird West that's like the biggest way that you approach it, and like obviously the way that you should be approaching it, and I don't necessarily like that. I kind of like that you can, you know, do all kinds of multitudes of things when you're fighting and coming up with these different tactics in an RPG. And I felt like that kind of was lost here when you focus so much on stealth. But what did you think? Did you get any vibes from like Weird West in this game as well when you looked at it?
Yeah, I mean they're both tactical turn-based, but I think Weird West you could make it real time, huh? If you wanted to, there was like a button to make it real time. That was interesting. I remember that. But yeah, as far as you're saying, I haven't played the demo on this. Did you only have one character, or did you have multiple characters in the demo?
I had multiple characters in the demo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a heavy reliance on stealth, because it's just like, how are you going to go up against a whole base of guys with just like 4 people, you know? I guess
it gives me so much anxiety. So just like as soon as one dude sees you, I'm like, oh geez, and then I'm like running around, hiding in different bushes, and they're looking for me, and I'm just like, dude, I feel like I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack playing games, and I ain't trying to die in my gamer chair. You know what I mean? And so.
The other thing that makes these games like stand out too is while you're stealthing, a lot of times you can do environmental things, you know, like drop a box on somebody's head or whatever.
Cool.
And then and if you do it without being caught, the people are just like, oh, I guess Jim's dead. Like they don't really react much. They'll look over there and be like, "Oh shit, that box."
There goes
That-
Bill.
There he goes. Yeah.
It is hilarious. I did really enjoy like the way that people were reacting in Shadow Gambit. That was pretty fun, and also too like the pirate angle is pretty great and fun too. I don't know if we're ever gonna get bored of that. I know Bobby won't with Sea of Thieves, but so,
What do you think, Bobby?
Pirates
Have you
of
played any of
Europe.
these?
I have not. No.
All right.
But I do enjoy pirate themed games. I feel like that was the life I missed out on, except for the whole like dying in your 30s thing. I think being a pirate would be pretty cool.
30s. I think that's. I would say
30s.
most of
wow.
them died in their late teens and early 20s. I would say most
Yeah.
pirates. Yeah.
If not by like scurvy, but by like syphilis or anything else, or like tetanus, something
All
shitty.
kinds of
Yeah, something
things.
shitty.
Fungal
And you know what, dude?
diseases
It's
and
like
shit.
they're like he's sick, but he's still eating. I don't. Let's just throw him overboard. Like it's not
Yeah.
worth it.
Or
Well-
let's eat him because we ran out of food.
I mean, it's not like they could really diagnose that stuff back in the day, too. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing. They're just
He's
like,
cursed by witches.
You know what's
That's
crazy?
true.
I found out that people have been able to diagnose diabetes since like the medieval ages by tasting people's piss.
Yeah, to see if it tasted sweet.
Yep,
It's wild.
it's
Wow.
crazy.
I think it was like the things that doctors would do to cure what they called hysteria in women up until the 1950s
Oh, yeah.
was nuts. Like the medical history is nuts.
Yeah.
especially involving women. It's pretty
yeah,
bad.
well, that and neurological things, you know what I mean? Like definitely women, but like also too mental health and like just
Lobotomies,
anything
yeah.
with the brain. Yeah, like the answer to everything was like, "Oh, are you a little sad bitch? Have a lobotomy." Like it was just, it's nuts.
Speaking of lobotomies, Phasmaphobia got a lobotomy and fucking reimagined itself.
Ooh. Tell me more.
Whoa, it's a whole new persona.
Dude, so they like did the biggest update to the game. They completely reworked the lighting. They completely reworked all the devices. The update was even bigger than people thought it would be and more effective. The game is way harder. So my
What? It
friend
was
who
already
plays
hard.
my friend who plays the game, he plays on like if there's like 5 difficulties, he'll play on like level 4 of like Phasmaphobia, right? Because you can make your own difficulties now. He's like after 11 hunts, he's only ever had one perfect hunt, and he's only lived 3 times. He's like the game is just way more difficult, way more interactive. The fact that you have to use all these analog items is way harder. Things are not as clear to everybody, like the frozen breath. Like when you have freezing temperatures, that's not always a dead giveaway anymore. It has to like be extremely below freezing for freezing breath to show up. So it's for those who don't know, Phasmaphobia is a ghost hunting game. It's been out for like I think 3.5 years now.
I think
And
we
at
all
this
know
point-
what Phasmaphobia is at this point.
Hey man, we might have some new listeners.
For real.
Well, Bobby, Nick, it's now called Phasmaphobia Ascension. That's a new tagline, right? That they didn't have before.
Yeah, that is the new DLC tagline is Ascension.
Yeah, these graphics look way better, dude. Way better.
And so they upgraded a bunch of textures. All the new items are in the game, except for a couple of them that they're still teasing, and I think they're going to be coming during Halloween. It's so weird to me that they always do their biggest updates in the summer, like at the end of summer. But hey, you know, they do it every time, either July or August, and this is this year's giant update. If you're a Phasmaphobia head and you haven't played it in a while, and you're not playing Baldur's Gate 3, definitely pick it back up. They reset everyone's account back to 0, and now it's way more beneficial to play with friends. You can't really solo games anymore. You can if you like play with randos and like make a bunch of money, then you can start soloing stuff. But I would strongly suggest like finding a group of people or playing with randoms.
Bobby, isn't this everything that you wanted for this game?
Yeah, I mean, we knew this update was coming. I didn't know it was coming so fast, but or maybe I did. I think they had a roadmap out. But I'm wondering if people are finding it harder because it actually is harder, or if they have been playing Phasmaphobia for so long. Most people that I know that play this game, they have it memorized. They know the maps, they know the tools, they know what to do and when. They can identify ghosts very easily. I think because there's been so many changes and so much new content now, it might just be like they have to relearn all that. Maybe in a month, everybody will be all caught up.
That's exactly what it is. So this is their 0.9 update. So this is like their update before 1.0 apparently. And so they integrated so many new changes, like so many new devices and so many new analog devices, like the level 1 stuff, that the people that have been playing for years are like, dude, how the fuck do I use this thing? Like, why is this so shitty to look at? Okay, I have to see dots in person instead of through a camera now. Like, you don't get sanity pills in the beginning anymore. Like, it's nuts.
Did they go back in time with it? Is that why everything's analog?
No. So they just reset everybody's account. They're like, it's essentially a new season now, right?
Yeah, they have different levels for items now. So you level up your item. You start off with the really crappy stuff, and then when you get more money or experience, then you can buy the better equipment.
Dude, there's no way I'm going to start a ghost hunting team without one of the original members being rich. Like, we need funding. Like, there's no,
there's no way you're doing with this dollar store ghost hunting.
Yeah, let's go to the dollar store and then to the haunted mansion. No, dude, no. You go to fucking I don't know, like your rich friend's house and then hit their mom up with a business proposal.
Yeah, so that's Phasmaphobia Ascension. What Saints Row, dude? I haven't heard about this game in ages. What's going on with that, Bobby?
Apparently, they're coming out with a new Saints Row game, and it's just called Saints Row. So this is, I don't know if it's a remake of the original one or if it's just like a reboot of the franchise. But it is coming out August 24th, so we will find out very soon. Now, I haven't played any of these Saints Row games, but I felt like they were kind of clones of Grand Theft Auto, but with a little more of a wacky side, especially by the time. Yeah, especially by the time you got to, I think it was 4, it got pretty goofy.
You were swinging around a 4-foot-long dildo as a weapon at one point,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're. I think on 4, like one of your members is the president, and the rest of you get superpowers. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, kind of like Just Cause, where it was just all about the crazy stunts and it made for a lot of good memes, I guess, very marketable. But this looks like it's kind of going back to the roots, and it's a little more serious. So I don't know.
I just saw somebody crash on top of a spaceship.
Okay, maybe not that serious. I mean, there are cameras.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Coming out August 24th. We'll see if it's any good.
Were you guys with when they reboot something, just called it the first name again without
like
putting
Mortal Kombat or
it's Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah, right. Don't get it twisted, dude.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you guys okay with this, or it doesn't matter? Or
I don't think it. Regardless of how you feel about it, there's no avoiding it now. They've been doing it in movies and video games for like ever, and it's going to keep happening.
Yeah,
and it gets confusing when they just start doing the like they were supposed to have a new RoboCop 2 that ignores, or I'm sorry, it was like a new RoboCop movie, but it picks up either where the first or the second one left off. I don't know. That's when it starts to get confusing for me. It's like they did that with Terminator as well. We're going to ignore all the bad sequels, and then we're going to have a sequel or another one after the good ones. So I don't know, man. It's hard to keep track of if you're not super into it, but yeah. And it also makes things difficult with Google searches, but
Bobby, can you, yeah, for sure. Can you chime me in on that? So there was a Terminator that picked up where Terminator 3 like replaces Terminator 3?
What was the last Terminator movie?
Resurrection?
I didn't see it. I almost did. That was back when I had that AMC pass, and I was seeing like a ton of movies. Salvation, yeah. So
Salvation.
Yeah. So this one, I think that one was supposed to take place after Judgment Day. So it ignored 3, and then that other one with Christian Bale. Yeah.
Let's risk confusing fucking everyone, and let's just insert this where the shitty ones were.
Well, it's just it's kind of insulting too to the people who made the other movies. It's like it totally draws a line in the sand. Like we all recognize that nobody likes these other movies, so we're just going to ignore those like they never existed. And
we're gonna ones. We don't acknowledge these ones. These ones don't. They're not part of the family anymore.
They're not part of the family.
Get them out of here.
Nobody call them over for Thanksgiving.
They're not invited to Christmas.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention too, a couple weeks ago, we had talked about WrestleFest, and that game is coming out tomorrow, August 21st. I'm going to keep an eye on it and see how the reviews are, see how people are reacting to it. I kind of like the idea. It was an RPG game based on wrestlers from the 80s, and they actually were able to use their likeness. It's not just like some cheesy knockoff where it's obviously this person, but they can't use their name. No, they actually use like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and everything. So I don't know. We'll see.
I just watched a like a YouTube documentary on the Ultimate Warrior. It was pretty fucking good, dude. Like I had no idea what like I used to fucking idolize that guy, and then now to see, like he wasn't a very good wrestler. He only had like 5 minutes of endurance. He was a bodybuilder. He wasn't really so he would go out there and act super crazy, win a match in 5 minutes, but he could not go past 5 minutes. He would just get gassed out. And it's just interesting because, as a kid, you're just like, this guy's obviously the Ultimate Warrior. Like he can kick anybody's ass.
He can kick God's ass.
Yeah, they let him
Chuck Norris.
They let him be Hulk Hogan, and take over the title, but he just fell apart after that. Anyway,
have you ever seen Dark Side of the Ring?
No.
Yeah, my girlfriend watches that a lot.
You should watch it. It's a documentary series. I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by Vice. They explore a lot of the stuff that happened behind the scenes in the past with wrestling.
I didn't know Vice was still around.
They got bought out.
Oh.
Yeah.
In chat, Pyronical is saying that Saints Row came out in 2022, and I'm looking, and he is correct. And it looks like this was released on
Epic. And it did really poorly.
On Epic, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that one. This is the one that sucked.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about it, and I wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't say anything. But yeah, they released a like character creator first, and that was free on Epic, and I played it. Well, as much as you can play a character creator, I was like, okay. I mean, it's not so cool that I'm like, whoa, awesome character. It's no Baldur's Gate. No, that's the bar. That's the bar, everyone.
That's the
bar. Character creation.
For character creation, Baldur's Gate's not even that deep.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You've got like 4 different penises to pick from.
They're not the first game to do that, though.
I know.
Yeah. Although what did confuse me at first.
It won't be the last.
Yeah, it has you pick body type and then your gender. And it confused me at first because every single game handles that typically the same way. You pick if you're a man or a woman, male or female. But this one, you can pick a female body, but then like you identify as a man. So it gives you a lot of, and then you can choose whatever genitalia you want, regardless of what body you chose. So yeah.
I mean, and then you can be a fucking dragon. So you're right. Like you can do whatever you want to be.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for like the people to get like super offended by that, like how it's like trans friendly or something. And then because it's a game where you can be a dragon or a goblin or something. And then the people draw the line at chicks with dicks, apparently. But
there was a point where like D&D got it under some fire because like certain races has certain attributes, and so they came under fire for that. And it's just like, that's been going on for like 30 years, dude. And they did dial it back. And then there's new rule set coming out, I guess, slowly.
So let me clarify
D&D
this.
1.
So D&D 1's coming out. Essentially, also you can either play it one of two ways. All races get all other races' abilities, or you can just play it the classic way where each race gets like whatever race's ability, and they're no longer called races. They're called like species, I think, or histories. I think it's what it's called. So they don't call them races anymore either.
And then at level 1 you get a feat, and I think that's probably how they're giving the racial abilities now. Yeah, it's a lot more inclusive and stuff. I don't know.
I feel like that's what they're doing with World of Warcraft too. Like it's becoming more and more that the races don't matter as much, and I think they're kind of doing that because everybody in WoW, everybody's just trying to min max. So if you want to play a healer and you're playing on the Alliance, then you have to pick a human.
Well, there used to be a stat where it's like the least played class and like sex combo was a female troll warrior, because like trolls were the worst warriors and like just no one wanted to be a female troll, and it was like only because everybody was min maxing. And but now there's way more coming around, things like that. It's nuts.
So like it's almost becoming like races or species are becoming a skin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just like becoming aesthetic only. But it's like, really, you're gonna tell me that this gnome is supposed to be just as strong as this like this half orc? Yeah. Those are funny though. I love rolling fucking gnome tanks or dwarf tanks. They're just so short.
That's the thing now for like D&D is that they give you the choice, right? They're like, do you want to play like OG rules where each race has their own features and abilities, or do you want to play where you can kind of just pick and choose your own thing? Because that's kind of what like Pathfinder is. You can really just make your own race and like nitpick what you want for your character. So,
so D&D 1 is fully reverse compatible with D&D 5e. So
apparently, yes. And then the other thing that they came out with me and the Lotion got confused this past weekend was that you were going to be able to buy the books and you'll get a digital code and a physical copy.
Yeah.
Now we thought you could get a digital code now, and I was like, "Oh, just send me your digital code," because he buys a bunch of the books and you read them for shits and giggles. And he's like, "I'm trying to find this digital code and I can't find it, man." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I had to go to like my local game store and ask them because I couldn't find it online.
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I guess more of that will come out later.
Yeah, we're deep in the weeds, but we're still on the radar. So I'm gonna lead into like what I put on the radar, which is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. This game, as soon as I saw it, Jet Set Radio Future, can't convince me otherwise. It's exactly what it looks like. That seems to be how it's played. It looks awesome. I'm really excited about this. So like Jet Set Radio Future was a game that I think was like in the early 2000s or something. I played it on a console where you're rolling around on roller skates and like fighting people and graffitiing like the side of walls and all kinds of shit and doing tricks, and like it was a really cool, unique art style for the time, and this looks exactly like it, which is really exciting to me. It's out. It came out 2 days ago, so brand new out. It is 98% with 2,600 people reviewing it as overwhelmingly positive. It's $40 on Steam, and it looks like it's going to bring back all the nostalgia that I miss at Jet Set Radio Future, because I haven't been able to find a game like it until this. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's overwhelmingly positive with 98%. So I think there's a lot of people who feel exactly like you. And I'm going to use this as an example to answer one of the questions in our listener questions later, too.
Oh, with the nostalgia. Yeah, This is a good one for that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Did you guys play it? I never played this game. I mean, the original.
Jet Set Radio?
Oh, the Jet Set Radio Future?
Yeah, I never played it. I've seen it, so I recognized it right away. But
I believe it was it was a launch title for 360, right?
Could be.
I could have sworn it was on the original Xbox. Maybe not.
So Jet Set Radio was a Dreamcast game, but Jet Set Radio Future was a 360 game, wasn't it?
No, it was on the original Xbox, and it was released in 2002.
You are correct. There you go. I just looked up images and I saw the cover art and it said Xbox.
Yeah.
So Nick, do you ever get tired of telling other people they're right?
No, never. It's my favorite thing to do, actually.
I went down the wormhole deep when I had an Xbox, like the original one. Like I loved Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. That was during those days, and like Jet Set Radio Future and Dead or Alive 3 were like on constant rotation. So like this game to me, I think I'm gonna pick it up, but I want to use a controller, so I gotta figure out my controller situation and make it better. Because I think this would be tough on keyboard and mouse. What about you, Bobby? Did you ever play Jet Set Radio Future?
I did not. I had a Dreamcast. That was like the last console that I had, and I was aware of Jet Set Radio, and it was a popular game, but I never played it. I think I might have it on Steam, actually. I think they released it on Steam. Is that right?
Dude, Dreamcast being your last console means you're such a hardcore PC gamer, dude.
For real.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And you know what's funny is I wasn't that into the Dreamcast. Like, that's when I was kind of let down by the console. I ended up selling it pretty quickly after I got it. Like, I had a Sega Saturn, and naturally when the Dreamcast came out, I upgraded to that. And then I remember getting it, playing a few games, and it wasn't more than a couple of months where I was just like, I'm not that into this. Like, I don't know. I think at the time I was really starting to pick up on PC gaming and transition over there, and maybe I was just going through a gaming lull. But I did want to mention that this game, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, it is made by the same developer, Team Reptile, that made Lethal League. And this is a game Yeah, we played this one.
Same look, now that I think about it.
Yeah, graphically it looks very similar. Lethal League was one of those local multiplayer games we would always play when we were together. And it was a lot of fun, but like most of these local multiplayer games, it was fun for, 20, 30 minutes or something. It was a really intense, fast-paced game of dodgeball, kind of. You would have this ball that you would try to whack at each other and hit each other with, and different characters that operated different ways. But I remember it being good. So
Days, let's make a list. I mean you. We make a list of games that people want to play at DLG Con, like video games, and then I'll have them all installed on my PC when I bring it over. And then that way we don't have to wait for all that. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And that's mine, Lethal League. Yeah, I want to bring that shit back. It's so fun.
Lethal League. All right, you got it.
Well, it's a lot like the game, or the last game that I wanted to bring up for On the Radar, and that's Party Animals. This is basically Gang Beasts, or there was another game like this, Pummel Party, I think. But
I feel like you brought this up like a month ago, Bobby.
Did I?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe. Yeah, it did look familiar. So maybe I did bring it up before and completely forgot about it. But this looks pretty much like Gang Beasts, but with cute, fluffy animals. And that's pretty much it.
Graphics are better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the graphics look good. It looks like it has that same fumble core. And the best thing about Gang Beasts was just the goofy way that they moved around and like moved their limbs and tried to push each other off things. It was really comical, and it looks like Party Animals has that as well. That's coming out in a month, September 20th. And it looks like they've got some pretty good maps too. I like the maps that they have here.
God, no game has made me laugh harder than Gang Beasts. I would cry laughing sometimes. It's funny because I'll play it now and I'll be like, yeah. I don't know what changed.
Well, what's good about that game too?
Is I cannot type. If you ask Bobby, he says I do it like a preschooler.
It's like finger by finger. But what's great about Gang Beasts is it's a really level playing field. So it's a great game to play with just people that are over and are not necessarily gamers. Like, I feel like everybody's got a chance at that game.
Yeah. All right. Last one. This is from Sanguine, from our On the Radar segment of our Discord. You can contribute games as well. dlgaming.net/Discord, something like that. This is Alone in the Dark. Shit, I didn't click it before you made it disappear. Here it is. So this is another like throwback game. Did you guys play the original Alone in the Dark?
No, but I heard of it.
I believe I did actually.
Very little of it.
I remember it being big. I never played it. This new iteration or remake is very creepy. I mean, all there is a video right now, but it's extremely creepy. It has David Harbour, he's getting so much work now, which is cool. And Jodie Comer, I guess she's from Free Guy. Anyway, it's funny because I like David Harbour, because I like Stranger Things. And then I saw an interview. I posted it on the Discord, and he's talking about like, yeah, I love video games, and there's always that like when they interview celebrities and they're like, yeah, I used to read this comic book set. Yeah, this obscure comic book, dude, you used to read, and now you're the fucking main character. Sure, yeah, but they probably just went back and read 3 issues, and they're like, now they know enough to lie about it. But anyway, David Harbour's like, yeah, I play video games, and this is why I like this, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, David Harbour. And then he goes, they said, what games do you play? He goes, things you wouldn't know about, things on Steam, like what's he got? Hades, Binding of Isaac. And I was like, oh, okay, instant super fan. Like those are deep cuts for non PC gamers. He said a couple other ones too that like were not traditionally big games. So I thought it was very cool. Anyway, so Alone in the Dark is a complete remake of the old 90s game. It looks like they're going for like a Resident Evil 7 remake. That's funny. It's a remake based trying to do whatever another remake did. But that's the like the same camera angle when the combat's happening over the shoulder. And just I don't know. The characters seem interesting. The setting is in the South, like Gothic. It's a Gothic South mixed with like I don't know. I think it's the 1920s. Anyway, it could be good. It could be bad. But a lot of money's going into this, and it'll probably be too scary for me to play, to be honest.
Same. Although, Emilio, as a side note, how do you feel about you and I having a scare-off of seeing who could last the longest in the same video game that's a horror game?
I like it.
In Halloween.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, we both said that we couldn't get out of the first room in Amnesia, right?
I know, that's where the bar is. So
I wonder if we just play that. And first of all, just to see if it's still scary after all these years, because, it's old. We probably both own it. And then, yeah. Do we want to see who can get further?
I think we should all just play Phasmaphobia. And then when we split up like the Scooby-Doo gang, you guys can go off together, and me and Nick will...
Oh, no!
Yeah, we'll play the prison, the biggest map, and we'll see how...
Emilio and I are just going to be crying in the corner. We're going to be useless. You got to team us up with somebody who knows what they're doing and then see which team sucks, because then that's when you know.
I'll be in the kitchen looking for food until fucking... Whoa. Just like Scooby-Doo, just like Bobby said. Really, what is it? Thelma and the dude would do all the work, right? Is that how it went?
Thelma Fred. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Scooby-Doo, and Vivian's fucking obsessed with it right now.
What do they call those giant sandwiches that he would always eat? They have a name for those sandwiches.
Hoagies?
No.
Submarine?
No, it's the ones that are stacked incredibly high.
It's
like a Morton sandwich. It's like named after a person. I'm going to look it up. We'll find out. But I'm thinking when we have DLG Con coming up in here, we should all take a trip down to the Whaley House. I don't know if it's going to be that scary. I haven't been there in like over a decade, but it's right down there in Old Town. But that might be a good place to stop. Do a little ghost hunt
because it's
action.
also in Old Town. People can get some Mexican food too. That'd be a great place. If we're going to make one excursion, that'd be cool.
It's true. It's true. I'm excited for that. If anybody's curious about DLG Con, there's still like one spot available if you want to join. You can look that up by going to dlgaming.net, join our Discord, and we've got a whole channel for it, or you can DM any of us about that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, because we're doing DLG Con in San Diego, 5-year anniversary. It's going to be awesome.
Another thing is, don't forget that you can sign up for our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. You get a sweet, cool green name in our Discord and other rewards the longer you are a patron. You can also... the money goes to us like upgrading our audio wear and to DLG Con and other activities like that. So the more patrons we have, the better quality the podcast gets.
You're investing in us just so we can satisfy you. Really, you're paying yourself.
All right. Well, I guess we got the plugs out of the way. That sandwich is called a Dagwood, by the way. I looked it up.
A Dagwood.
Bobby, I think it's so funny that like back in the day when there was nothing going on. One guy makes a giant sandwich, and now the sandwich is called the Dagwood. You know what I mean? Like now YouTubers and like TikTokers are doing way crazier shit every single day. Nothing's being named after them. They're just trying to get fucking likes and stuff. By the way, I've recently got into Mr. Beast. I've been watching all his videos. Like, I didn't know anything about him until like you just keep hearing the name, you know. And I love it, man. I think it's so good. It's like wholesome. Nobody's getting hurt. It's entertaining. Whatever. It's fun. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some games that we have played. I guess we'll say Baldur's Gate 3 till the end here, and we'll listen to some new stuff. I did play Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time this week, so I've got some stuff to say about that. But first, let's hear what's going on with Universal Epic Battle Simulator. Is that what the U stands for?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
No, not Ultimate. Sorry. Yeah. I that just glossed over. Yeah. I was like, Universal. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Love it.
Universal Warrior. Why not?
So 1.0 came out. That came with some maps, some new units, and some new god powers. I think you now can control like a nuclear blast. You could also, I think there's like one other one, but who cares about any of that? Like that's all fun and good, but it's really the mods being full on that is the best part now. Right before we started, Nick, I think you'll like this. I made a battle with Slanesh. I had a lot of Tyranids. I had like 3 different types of Tyranids. I had Ultramarines. I had droids from Star Wars. I had Yoda, like all kinds of shit, man. Like if you can name an IP, it's in here now.
There's like 3 Terminators, a Predator.
Yeah, everything, dude. Everything.
Doctor Who.
It's funny because I tried to take some screenshots to share on here, and I fucked it all up because I had like 5 minutes to do it. So maybe next week I'll have a video or something like that. But yeah, whatever you're into now, like people are making mods, and now you can have 2 Yodas versus 1,000 zombies or whatever the fuck you want to do. And I think it's only going to keep getting better because the mod scene is, you know, they're going to continue building these things out and getting better at the animations and stuff. But, you know, the best one, the cream rises to the top, and, you know, people vote on the mods. So the best animated ones are, you know, towards the top.
Dude, I always get right. I watched one of these videos one time, and it was like, you know, 10 million Tyranids versus, you know, 1 million Deathcore Krieg. And I was like, oh, what's this? And I clicked it, and all my fucking suggestions are now just Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. I'm like, God damn it, man.
Yeah. It's funny, dude. Cool. I won't. It's hard to say that you play it, right? It's more like you set up to your toy soldiers and you watch it. Really.
Yeah, it's a sandbox.
Yeah, and you can like take over one of the units and be that person. Oh, Thanos. I have a Thanos in there, and but you're still not really playing it. It's kind of like pseudo playing it. So it's not something you sit there and play for fucking 30 hours. But
there is a game that does that. What's the one that lets you do that?
Oh, I fucking love that game, man.
I think it's an acronym as well.
Yeah. I don't remember. I love that game too.
It's like totally accurate battle simulator.
Yeah, totally accurate battle simulator.
I think so. Yeah, because the acronym being tabs.
Yeah. I love that game. I got over 100 hours in that game. But yeah, you can do it in this game too. But it's not as fun. That game's more fun to like strategize because there's like a campaign that you go up against, and you're trying to act. And this is more just like a simulation. Either way, it's 9 out of 10 on Steam, 88%. Was it 37? The only thing holding this back, the mod community, is like, I don't think, you know, millions of people are playing this. It's just like there might be 50,000 people that plays this or something like that. But yeah, either way, pick it up. It's fun. Not as fun as Dark and Darker.
Yeah, so I talked about Dark and Darker on the radar last week in regards to it coming out of its legal battles and coming back to its demo state through its own launcher. I got to play a bunch of games of it solo and in teams, and I got to play the new map that came out with the new version of the game.
He got killed.
And it is very interesting on the different dynamic of how it works now. So there's a new map, and it's outdoors instead of being inside of like a dungeon or like a library or whatever, or in like mines, and everything's dark as fuck. But the main thing is that everybody is fighting to try to get to 2 bosses. But the map is way more PvP oriented. It is probably my favorite map only because the PvE isn't as invasive. Like there isn't things that are just going to kill you in one hit on that map compared to the normal like OG map. You can face certain bosses that are way stronger than your normal like NPCs that'll just one hit you. But on the newer map that I'm talking about, there's only 5 other teams that you're fighting against, and it's just a bunch of fun. I'll keep playing this game over Tarkov until Tarkov fully releases, and I can't wait until the Paladin releases for this game, because the thing about the devs for this game is that they're extremely transparent. They're even telling you what items are going to come out with each character, because every time a character comes out, new items comes out, and they're talking about like all their abilities already and things like that, and I'm super excited. The Paladin, I believe, is the last class that they're adding. Besides, it is the last class.
That new map sounds a lot like how Hunt Showdown works. No.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, this game is intended to like be and function like an old school like first person
dungeon crawler type.
Dungeon crawler, but it's like really slow. So like your swings are really slow. Like your movement is really slow. So like missing an attack is really devastating. Or like panicking or like not closing a door in time can really cost you a lot. So it's not like Hunt Showdown where you're running around and like throwing stuff and like lighting stuff on fire and like stabbing horses and sprinting. Like this is very much like a methodical like thing.
You know what it sounds like to me, Bobby, a little bit, is those grid-based RPGs that you play. Obviously not that slow, but I feel like,
It's like 2 notches above that, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a Legend of Grimrock.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's actually what I was thinking of when Nick was talking about this, because the first Legend of Grimrock was all inside and it was very dark and claustrophobic. And then the second one, you start out just stranded on like a beach and you're outside and you can see the sky and all this nature. And it was just such a different change of environment.
Yeah. It's only
go ahead.
$35 for the game. So if you want to try it out, it's not risk-free. You can't return it. It's not like it's not a Steam game, but it's definitely, I think it's worth its money. I would not suggest playing this game unless you have friends to play with, because the solo game mode is a lot. Like you can definitely play it. You can play it over and over again. You can even play solo in the team game mode, but the game really shines when you can build like a team comp, like where one person plays a warlock and one person plays a cleric and one person plays a fighter.
That's so interesting, man. Like PvP.
It's
fantasy.
So nuts. It's
PvP
so
high fantasy
nuts.
is crazy just to even think about.
Like you have spell slots and things like that, and you're and it's like Tarkov, so like you keep your money and you keep your gear and you can store gear, and you can have multiple characters. So like if you find wizard boots that are like, you might find blue wizard boots that give you 2 more spell slots and like plus 5% casting speed, you can save that for your wizard character and things like that. So it's very much like, I think it's the best version of like an extraction shooter in a long time.
You're really selling this thing, man. I mean, you're making me want it more and more.
So just try it out. Play it out for the show.
This isn't on my highlights, but I've played BattleBit a few times, and it's really settling. If I wasn't shitty at shooters before, dude, it's just my reaction times are so fucking slow, dude. Like these guys are so good. Maybe I need something a little slower, like this, in order to play.
I think, believe it or not, I think this would be the game that would be good for your old brain.
Yeah,
because you don't need like in super fast reaction times. Now you do need to be able to aim if you're like a ranger or something, but if it's very much like there isn't that much of a twitch reaction time.
What are the classes?
There's rogue, warlock, wizard, monk, fighter, cleric, and barbarian,
and ranger. So 9.
And Ranger. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Barbarian, I think, has one of the coolest abilities. They can just break open chests and break open doors. Usually, like, to open a door takes like 5 seconds or 4 seconds. And like to open a chest takes like 4 or 5 seconds as well.
But it's probably loud, huh? When he does it.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, the barbarian runs and you can like he steps forward, you can just hear him. You hear him breathe heavy.
That's right.
But so like the other thing is like invisibility in this game is true invisibility. Like there is no like blur a little bit like in Halo. Like it very much is like you disappear. And so playing a rogue, a lot of people don't like the rogues because it's kind of like the spy in TF2. Like if you stab somebody in the back of the head when you're invisible and you have like your weapon poisoned, they'll usually die in one hit. Like if they're not like a barbarian decked out in armor or like a cleric that has like anti-poison on, they usually die in one hit.
I think a well-designed rogue, you should fucking hate.
Dude,
you know what I mean? Like people should hate them.
Me and my friend,
they're cheap. By
me and
the snipers of the fantasy game.
Yeah.
Me and my friends, we got fucking sclounced by like this one rogue, dude. He killed us all with a rapier and a knife. He stabbed my friend in the back of the head, and he was like, I don't know where I died from. He didn't even go invisible. This dude was just hiding in the corner in the dark.
Jeez.
He was an orc, so his skin was black, and he was wearing all black, and you just could not see him. And then he beats the shit out of my friend with his rapier, and then he goes invisible because it's a rogue ability to just go invisible whenever you want, right? But it's on cooldown. You only go invisible for like 3 seconds or like 4 seconds anyways. So I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? Kills me in 2 hits. I'm like, God damn it, dude.
Damn,
wow.
One dude.
Just one dude. And there's people that have like compilations on like YouTube of them just absolutely wiping the floor, as all the classes, but it very much is like way more prominent for like rogues to do it. But the thing is, rogues are super squishy. You just bonk them one time in the head with like a cleric's mace and they just crumble. So
Nice.
Damn.
Man.
It's a fun game.
Seems wild.
All right.
Speaking of fun games, Emilio, I don't know how you're playing Remnant 2 when Baldur's Gate 3 exists. Tell us about that.
It's funny because like I know Baldur's Gate's better, but it's like you guys are all talking about it, so I want to talk about something else, but I'm going to talk about the same thing every week as well, just something else. This week I'd like to talk about multiclassing. So as your main character throughout the game, you can pick up these idols. Each idol represents a different class. Apparently there's 14 classes. When you start the game, you can only pick from like 4 or 5. And then as you play the game and unlock all these secrets, you take these idols to this dude, and then this dude lets you become, an engineer subclass, or a alchemist, or an explorer, or all these other. And then I think you can swap them out and make it your main class. So you can basically do whatever you want. You can hot swap your classes. And this game is built for replayability from the ground up. Like there's so much replayability because as you play it and you're unlocking these other classes, you'll find other things that you like that go really well with your class. But now you got to go collect all the shit for your subclass and all the good items for that class. So you start hunting not stuff for your main class, but then for your subclass. And while you're doing that, you might unlock another class, and then you sub that, and it just goes on and on. But it's fun the whole time. There's no time that it's not fun. It just gives you more reasons to go do the gameplay loop, and the gameplay loop is so fun that you don't mind. It's just like more incentive to go play again. I've been playing a lot with Cricket Soldier. Of course, he's beat the game twice. And he's like, hey, are you playing solo right now? I was like, no, join me. And then we go and play a boss. He's never seen it. Like, it's crazy that he's beat the game twice. I'm like low level, and he comes into my game and he's never seen this boss. And so we had a hard time with it too. Like, it wasn't just, he's much more powerful than I, but it doesn't matter. Because like I've said before, you're just making incremental improvements onto your characters. It's not like nothing's +5. +5 would be ridiculous. Everything's +1%, 2.5% at the top end. But little by little, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find two characters that are exactly the same, because there's so many branching paths you can go down and different buffs and weapons, and it's great. I mean, I really love this game. But yeah, so the whole subclass thing, that's a whole new thing that I didn't talk about before because I didn't really know about it. Now I do. So even more reason to pick this game up. It would be game of year if it didn't come out in this year that is full of fucking heavy hitters. Now it's going to probably be 5th on the list. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are.
You guys are chomping at the bit to talk about these Baldur shit.
Well, yeah, I got one more I want to talk about with the highlights that I put on before we go deep down into the weeds of Baldur's Gate. I played this kind of interesting boomer shooter called Slayer's X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. It's a hell of a long fucking name. There is a demo out. I highly recommend the demo. This game was really interesting. It was brought to my attention by Burn Division, who is a host on a podcast himself called Breathing New Life, which is all about new metal, which is, I think, really cool. I definitely recommend people going out and checking that out if you like metal, especially if you prefer new metal like Linkin Park and those kind of things back in the day. I feel like it's just super nostalgic, but Slayer's X kind of brought that whole back. I felt like I went back into the 90s with this game, which was pretty funny. And I thought it was kind of just like a really cool indie moment, this game specifically, because what this guy did is he came up with this game in 1998 when he was in his teens, and so much of the humor is that they've even got the S, like, I don't know if you guys remember drawing the S with a certain amount of lines in your notebook and that kind of shit, and like, you know, just all of the like edgelord fucking punk theme shit. Yes. And it's, you know, this game is right out of that. I feel like it was ripped right out of like a 90s teenager dream that then a 30-some-year-old went back and actually made, which is what happened, what this guy Zane did. But he created this like online different persona of this creature that created this like hacker man world that he goes into of fighting different things like poop and this like syndicate. And so it's even got like a whole bunch of the humor, like speaking of that, like if they had a shotgun that you would use that was called the glass blaster, and you just picked up pieces of glass and launched it at turds, and then when you would kill them it would make the fart noise. And so it was just like all these little goofy details I thought was really fun. You know, overall, it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It's 98%. I do think it's troll as shit and pretty funny. It came out on June 1st, so like somewhat recent. It's got a sale going on this weekend, so it's like $14.44 right now. I would highly recommend at least getting the demo to download and playing it and just getting a good laugh. Or if you grew up in the 90s, then like definitely play at least the demo of this, because there's going to be so many like fun little throwbacks, and it's a pretty fun game of just going around shooting and killing stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I thought this was pretty great, and it felt really cool and awesome too to like feature and be on Breathing New Life's podcast and talking about like the intersection between metal and video games, because I don't feel like we have a crazy amount of games where there's metal, and we definitely have like a lot of music games that have been out there, right? Like I think of like Rock Band and Guitar Hero and stuff like that.
Metal Hellsinger.
I was just going to say, we talked a lot about Metal Hellsinger because that was the most recent one. And like that one was just like amazing. And they actually had like a lot of really awesome metal artists there, like the lead singer of Dark Tranquillity and Soilwork, and the singer of Lamb of God, and like all kinds of different artists. And that game was awesome too, because I loved that was a rhythm boomer shooter, where as you killed and got more multiplayers on the beat, they added more elements of the actual song with the singer being last, which I thought was such a cool mechanic and unique with that. This game, like I said, is much more the Slayer's X. This is much more, I think, of like a troll and like a super deep passion project. Like if you really want to see kind of the inside mind of the guy that created this, like this is a good game for that, because it's so personable and you can just tell it's great. He's got all these like little hidden gems of the newspapers during his time when he was in school in like 1998, just like hidden in places. And so there's all kinds of like little things in this game that I just thought was really fun.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So I mean, should we move forward, move on to it, talk about the big beast again every week, making it back? Let's hear some stories about some Baldur's Gate. Bobby, what was your experience like trying it for the first time?
So for the first time,
I've been waiting for Bobby to tell us what's wrong with this game.
Man, same.
It's such a large game that I can't really speak definitively about it. So I'm going to give you my first impressions. There's a big learning curve, and I haven't quite got around that yet. So I still feel like it hasn't quite hooked me yet. And I just think that's because I haven't gotten too comfortable with the game. I'm still kind of confused by everything. So you can turn on a tutorial option when you start the game, but it doesn't give you that much in the way of tutorials. It popped up during my first battle and says, hey, this is how combat works. It very quickly explained it. And then I didn't see another tutorial window for a very, very long time. And I can't even remember what that was about. But they do kind of throw you right into it. And it's been a long time.
What class are you playing, Bobby?
A dwarf paladin.
Oh,
yeah.
I only say because, sorry to cut you off. I only say because I've heard that the learning curve is completely, has a lot to do with what class you play. Like if you play a fighter, you literally just double click on a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's how I played Divinity. But I think this is not Divinity Original Sin 3. I wasn't really expecting that, but I don't know. If people are going into it, I think if you go into it expecting that, it's definitely not going to be. So, and that's mainly because this really sticks to the rules of D&D, and I don't think I've ever really experienced that in a video game. A lot of video games, they borrow a lot from D&D. But this one operates, especially during the combat phase, it operates, as far as I can tell, identically to D&D. So it's been a while since I played D&D. Not the biggest fan. So it was a little weird for me, and I had to kind of refresh my memory a little bit on it. And it's starting to come back. I'm starting to remember everything, but it's very different from Divinity. So the Divinity very much feels more like a traditional RPG video game. You level up your characters, you pick talent points, you do this or that. The combat phase works in this very specific way, but now in Baldur's Gate, because it's like D&D. There's the action, the bonus actions, spell slots, all these things that I have to kind of reacquaint myself with. So I'm starting to get the hang of it. I've done a little bit of a single player, but not much. But they give you those characters that you start with, or they stay at your camp. And what we figured out, so we've got a group of 3 going that are playing on Friday nights. And
you have a scheduled game now?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we were going to have a 4th, but he didn't show up. Maybe he'll join us next week. But it looks like you can just have somebody drop in, create a character, join your team, and it just sets them to whatever necessary level they need to be.
Yeah, Bobby. So I dropped in on your game and I said that, right? I was like, I just learned it. You guys, yeah, it's so funny because you're like, we were supposed to have a 4th. He didn't show up. And I come in and I'm like, yeah, apparently you can just make a character and join any game. Bye. I didn't even think of joining you guys until after I was playing something else. I was like, I could have totally.
We didn't play too much longer after you had left, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I had started a game and, took forever in the character creation. Then I kind of went through just like I'm talking like 5 minutes into gameplay. And I thought, I didn't see any option. I mean, I guess there was an option to like add other players, but it didn't quite seem like Divinity, where you create this team of 4 people and then those are the characters, and then people can jump in and they can control those characters. So we kind of figured that out like on the fly as we were playing, but I do kind of like that a little bit better. One difficult part about Divinity was just staying consistent with the people that you were playing, and often you'd start a group playthrough with like 4 other people, but then it would fall apart and nobody would play that save anymore. But this gives you a little more flexibility. So yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. It's the reason that I think it has such a high learning curve. Not only is that it's like D&D and I got to learn all that again. But they really let you do just about anything in that game. I mean, there are so many actions you can take, and so many options. It really feels so open that it's a lot at first, but I do like that. I think that in the long run, that's going to end up making it a much better game. Is that it just gives you like complete freedom.
Can I say something that might assuage?
Assuage.
I shouldn't even say assuage. That might impact your opinion on that a little bit. There is, so I'm now at the like 1.7 chapter, like 1.75 or act like 1.75. There's like two things you do before act 2, right? When it comes to the later parts of the game is even more open, but it's also even more restricted as well. Like your ability to just slaughter everything is not an option all the time anymore. Only because like the repercussions of it are like insane, right? Like there's no more vendors. There's no more like there's like no guidance in this area where just the environment kills you maybe. Like there's so like the act 1 is like this little like taste, like a little dab, and it's like here's this freedom, enjoy it. And once you get to like act like 1.5 and 1.75, you're like, oh, I see now. Like I see like where the game is going, because the game very much has a different feel in act 2 and act like the later parts, but it's still so good, dude.
That makes me excited.
Yeah, because I just hit like the spoopy parts, and it is, and like even I'm just like, fuck, how do I deal with this, right? Because the game will be like, all right, this guy does this, figure it out. Like you don't have to fight him, but you got to deal with him. So figure it out, dude. And I'm just like, what do I do?
Nick, are you solo or do you have a weekly campaign?
So this is something I wanted to talk about when it was my turn to have the talking torch. But Bobby, did you have anything else you wanted to say regarding like the freedom and stuff of the game?
No.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go on this long-winded rant, I guess. So yeah, I did start my team playthrough with my core like RPG friends that we always play things together. We've been playing stuff since we lived together in California. We started our playthrough on Tuesdays. We're playing every Tuesday. Actually, we're playing tomorrow because it's one of our friends' wives' birthdays on Tuesday, so we're playing tomorrow. What I will say is super interesting, right? We are all guys that when we play these games, we try to do everything we can in every chapter in like every way we can. But as soon as we all played together, we all discovered new shit. I was like, you didn't know this was here? You didn't know that this was here? And these guys were like, you didn't know you can do this? You didn't, like, one of our guys instantly died. He got dealt 190 damage in the first like hour of the game. And we were like, you didn't know you could do that? Like, and he was like, I didn't know that was an option. And it's so baffling to play with people that like, especially people that take like a lot of attention to detail of these games. I can understand like the appeal of playing the game with people who are also new and like playing it that way. But I'm super thankful that I was able to play a lot of it solo, like 24 hours of it solo, pretty much complete Act 1, and then start a team playthrough and get through it, because we're blazing through Act 1.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I don't want to be like, oh, well, my dad's stronger than your dad, but it is another thing that I really like about Remnant Too, is just the secret sharing. When I play with Cricket, he's like, you haven't been down this way? Yeah, you haven't done this thing? And then when he plays with me, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know about this one thing? And so I'm unlocking guns for him. He's unlocking characters for me. And so there's a lot of like information sharing. And there's not a lot of games I feel like do that anymore. And now there's two giant games that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate has over like 100 and like something endings. Like it's insane, dude. It's so crazy.
It's amazing. There's so much variety.
And Amanda, you have what, 9 campaigns going?
I have a shitload of campaigns going. Yeah.
You're doing like the thing that I did with Divinity: Original Sin, and I had to like corral myself back. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm just playing with these guys, and that's it. I've had so many invites to play Baldur's Gate. I'm like, no, no, I'm good. No.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
Pretty much I have my solo playthrough, which is unfortunately probably the lowest priority in a way, because I have a playthrough with just my boyfriend and I. We just made one where we made characters and didn't allow each other. We're sitting next to each other and didn't allow each other to see the other one's screen, and just made characters and just went with whatever that. Like, we didn't coordinate or anything. He ended up going with like a shadow monk rogue, so he does like a lot of martial arts stuff, but is a rogue. And then I am like a pure barbarian fighter, dragonborn, like god complex creature. And so that's been the latest campaign, which has been fun. But the big campaign is like, I have like, my main campaign is with Lotion and Tagloro, and like that's where I'm playing my really ugly orc and doing rogue. And then we just made a 4-person campaign that we're playing. We're gonna play that actually after the podcast. We're gonna do that campaign, and we're evil. We're the most evil. We're killing everybody. We're like, fuck you, pay me. I'm gonna kill you afterwards anyway. Like, terrible people. And so
That's a fun way. It's fun that
yeah.
you all decided to be the fucking, the bad guys.
Yeah, and so it works out really, really well. But it is really fun too, kind of going back to like the secret sharing and stuff like that. I feel like both my boyfriend and I are very new to the game in a way, whereas like Tagloro and Lotion are very well versed in it, especially I think Tag. But like Lotion's done so much research and is like a good teacher as well. And so I feel like I'm in like such good hands whenever I play with them. It's kind of like when I was playing Phasmaphobia with you, Nick, and Leslie and my buddy Virus. I was just like, okay, Days, you're gonna go in the corner and you're gonna sit behind the couch and we're gonna pull the ghost up and take care of it. And I was like, yay, I'm actually having fun because I'm not scared. So I feel like I'm in great hands as well with Baldur's Gate. Not that I'm scared. I feel like I'm definitely holding my own in that game too. But it's been pretty fun, besides the fact of Tagloro making my half orc wear a mask, because the whole party in that group in that campaign is so hot, except my character. She's offensive because she's that ugly. And so that's by design.
Wear a mask.
Well, that's why she hides in the shadows, because she's a rogue. Nobody wants to look at her, and by the time you see her, it should
late.
scare the shit out of you. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you see her, yeah, you should be abhorred, because that knife is going right into your face. So yeah,
Dude,
it's a good
Lotion
time.
is doing so much goddamn research. He's reading the fucking Dungeons and Dragons manuals to get well versed in this game.
Yeah, I feel like I'm playing with 2 pros. It's awesome.
We messaged for like 2 hours. He was like, "All right, is the Magic the Gathering universe the same as the D&D universe?" I'm like, "No, it's not. Like, there's like tie-ins and stuff, but it's not the same universe. Like, some of the." He's like, "Oh my god! All right, cool. Now I got to read into this." I'm like, "All right, man, have a fun time. Get questions, let me know."
He's got a pegboard at his house with yarn, fucking sticking,
like,
fucking
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah.
There was an article on PC Gamer about somebody posting on Reddit about their monk build that was able to do like 150 to 300 damage in a turn or something absolutely insane like that. Apparently monk is the way to go.
There's a video of a guy. He's so they're fighting this thing. It's called a bullet or a boulet or whatever you want to call it. It's like this weird lizard thing that's pretty much like halves everything's damage, right? And all of his friends are like, he's playing a paladin, and his friends are like a warlock and like a monk and like something else, right? And they're like, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna engage this thing," and they're like, "No, the thing's super strong. Don't do it." He kills it in 2 hits because he crits on both of his smites, and he deals a total of 187 damage. And they're like, "Why am I playing anything but a paladin? Like, what's the point?"
Bobby, you better come with these stories pretty soon. I killed a dragon, 2 hits.
There's
Once I figure out what I'm doing.
You can definitely min max. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube where it's like min maxers of D&D, like these people that are like super good at math and stuff, and like super read rules, are playing Baldur's Gate and trying to break the game without mods. Trying to do like millions of damage and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
But also, what makes fucking D&D fun a lot of times is the failures. When you try to jump across something and you roll a 2 and you fucking fall and you laugh at your, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Don't want to be super cool at everything.
We did find a thing too, and I wonder if you guys have encountered this or if this has happened to other people. When my boyfriend and I got to like the Druid Emerald Grove? Yeah, that place. If one person's talking and in a cutscene and the other person is running around, we ended up having combat just get initiated. Because the first playthrough with my boyfriend and I, all the druids attacked us. It's like,
so there's a thing. So I found this out as well, and you can even do it in single player playthroughs. If you are in a conversation and there are restricted areas, and you go into a restricted area during the conversation, it will immediately initiate combat. Or you go near a restricted item, or you touch because normally if you try to steal something or you misclick, they'd be like, put that back or whatever, right? They give you a warning.
True.
But if you're in a conversation like, oh, you're distracting me because you're trying to steal from me, now it's game on. And so the game becomes hypersensitive as soon as you're in a discussion.
Interesting.
The only reason I know that is because I got fucking slaughtered when I was talking to this group of people, and one of my characters ran by itself into a corner and just went into restricted zone, and I just got absolutely killed.
I imagine you got destroyed too, Days, by a bunch of druids.
No, actually, it was and this something that I really, really love about this game is that if you make the commitment that you're just gonna lay in the consequences of the actions that you take, in that scenario, we've decided that we are going to continue playing that route as well, because I have a tiefling bard in that campaign, and we just rolled with it. We killed all the druids and we're protecting the tieflings, and 2 tieflings made it out, and everybody died. We got so much loot, and now we have no traders for a while.
That's why if you do the let's kill everybody thing, you will run out of traders. You can also get stuck. You can literally get stuck in the game and have to force it by just running to a certain area to continue the game.
Damn, Days, you got fucking bad credit even in Fantasyland.
Yeah. That's true.
All right. I'm glad that you guys are all liking it. I mean, I really want to play it all the time, but got to keep the ball rolling. I have it on my Steam Deck.
Oh, what? Really? I wonder if that's going to be good. I saw today somebody plug in with a controller and play it with a controller and how it compared. And it was amazing until you went to fight in a battle. And then it was hold on to this and wheel mouse this and press all of this shit all at once. And so it got complicated pretty quickly. And I don't think as fun to play with a controller. How is it on the Steam Deck?
I haven't played. I just installed it. I haven't had any time. When it's raining, I work the hardest, and so I worked 17 hours last night, and I'm going back for more right in about an hour. I'm working all night, I think. So, yeah. It's funny because we felt like, oh, hey, we're getting a handle on we're getting ahead here on the work. We're getting, and then a goddamn hurricane came by and said, nope, start over. Yeah. All right. What about listener questions?
Well, we've got a few of them. First one is from Zap. He says, Starfield is 2 weeks before release, and the game still hasn't been completed. After a meager list of recent AAA games and middling releases like Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5, do you think Starfield will make or break Microsoft Game Studios? How many chances do companies the size of Microsoft, Blizzard, and Bethesda get before you write them off as a whole?
I think, in my opinion, I always write these guys off as a whole until I see something that is glaringly good. So Starfield, for example, I will not buy that day one. I'm gonna wait a week, and just see what people say. If it's completely broken, there's video card crashes, then hey, I just saved myself $70. But I'm not itching to play Starfield, to be completely honest. I have Baldur's Gate, I have the DLC for Total War, I have Armored Core, I have Dark and Darker, I have all these other games to play. So I'm not fiending to play a space game right now. I'm in Fantasyland, so it's leave me alone, you fucking nerds. But
didn't some people get an early copy of this game for reviews?
Yeah, there's a couple of people that have been posting videos and screenshots and stuff. They got hate. Apparently Bethesda got hate for how plain their start menu looks, and someone tweeted from Epic Games or something. No, someone from Blizzard tweeted was you can tell how much work was put into a game based on the start menu. Starfield's start menu is plain and and uninventive and things like that. And it's like someone responded with, "I'm sorry that it's not an ADHD person's fucking night like dream with like a link to a battle pass and like linking your fucking Steam account to this game so you can play it."
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a lot of examples out there that of great games that have simple start menus.
Oh, exactly. What does the start menu do? Like even in newer games, the start menu doesn't exist after the first time you play it. Like in God of War, as soon as you launch the game, you never go back to the start menu. Like it's as simple as that. So
yeah, I mean, I don't really care much about Starfield. It's not something that I'm keeping close eyes on, but I don't know. I don't really write off Microsoft, Blizzard, Bethesda. I mean, you're always like one game away from being back on top, right? So
I totally agree. I mean, isn't that what happened with Diablo 4? I mean, years of hate kind of not disappeared, but is a little more obscure, and people aren't pointing out all the failures of Blizzard right now, because I think Diablo 4 was a resounding success. And so, yeah, it's they always say this in UFC. They always say like you're only as good as your last fight, because that's all what people remember. If you put on a fucking spectacular show and get a first round knockout, suddenly the last 3 losses you had, nobody's talking about it. And that kind of people's opinions have a lot. They suffer from recency bias as well. It's just like, it's hard to hate a game studio that just put out a game that you just played 100 hours of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for sure.
And really, who's ever batted 1,000? People fuck up. Game studios fuck up, and sometimes they come back. I mean, it was sad to watch Blizzard's kind of like slow demise, because I really loved but they were making millions of dollars on top of that. Like, really, they weren't doing what hardcore or gamers or true gamers, whatever we call ourselves, would call games. They were like cash grabs. But yeah, man. And then Microsoft Game Studios, like, I feel like their track record is not that bad, dude. Like, the Forza series is doing well, the Halo series is doing well. I know Infinite wasn't giant success, but people played it. Gears 5 was like one of the best Gears. Sea of Thieves, people are still playing now. The Age of Empires, the new one was, I don't know if it was a commercial success, but it was a very good game. The Flight Simulator, I'm just looking at a list. I mean, I'm seeing more hits than misses on here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Starfield in a way. But I mean, once again, Baldur's Gate 3 is all I'm going to care about for the next few months. So it's kind of a shame that Starfield has 2 more weeks before release, and the game isn't completely finished, because I feel like they could take their time, because everybody is distracted, and this year has so many bangers that it's just I don't know. In my opinion, I'd rather them wait until the beginning quarter of 2024 and release Starfield and have it be even more epic and amazing, and then start off next year on a great leg, But that's me being selfish. So.
Yeah.
How many times did Elden Ring get delayed and people were like, "Oh man, this is the 3rd time the game's getting delayed," and people were like, "Just wait, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be awesome. Just wait." And it was Game of the Year. If you just let things fester and just let things come naturally, they will be good. But if you're gonna release a half poo-poo, half finished, House of Cards, it's not gonna do well. So
don't know if fester's the right word, but okay.
Sorry, it's like a verbal thing.
Dad joke incoming. I think if I put my Steam Deck that has Baldur's Gate in my backpack, I would have an over-the-holder Baldur holder. Anyone?
Baldur's Gate holder.
Because you called it Baldur's Gate again, and made me think of
I did call it Baldur. Oh, great. All right.
Baldur's Gate and Remnant Too.
Yeah.
Remnant.
DLG.
Reminiscent. Yeah, too. Yeah.
The 2 biggest games of the year we can't fucking say, man.
No, you two can't say.
Killing it. Yeah.
Dude, at least we don't have Ray anymore who couldn't pronounce anything.
It's true.
No, it was just Bethesda.
Bethesda.
It was just that word.
And buttons. All the buttons on my controller.
Oh my
The
god, it's almost as bad as Nightmare.
All right, another question from Zap. The Video Game History Foundation recently conducted a study that found that 87% of classic video games are unavailable for purchase. What role do you think storefronts like Steam and Epic should play in game preservation?
I took a hard stance on this. I don't know how much I stand behind this, but I said, let it all die, man. It's all garbage. And then anything that's worth keeping around, somebody will remake because they're going to make money out. If it truly is good, somebody's going to remake it, and it'll be because it's valuable. Like the ideas are valuable there. Otherwise, it's just nostalgia, and you're just playing to nostalgia.
Just take that attitude into every history museum, dude.
No,
I don't go to history museums.
we know.
I don't know. I don't think they play any role or really need to play any role in the preservation, honestly. I mean, Steam and Epic, they're just trying to make money, right? The people that actually preserve these games are usually the fans or people who care about this stuff and not just making money. So I don't know.
I did bring up GOG. They do a little bit of this, right? They make sure that old games are playable on modern things, but they're not. That's such a monumental task. How do they decide what is the next game? Probably the one that they think they can sell the most copies of.
Well, I don't think GOG is making a ton of money selling copies of Dangerous Dave and Crystal Caves, you know.
Right.
They they do kind of focus on that, and that's just kind of part of their principles. They make most of their money selling the big games like The Witcher, and the whole thing about GOG is they don't do DRM. So if you've got a game with DRM, maybe this has changed. I haven't looked into this in a while, but that was their whole thing. So if you had a game that had DRM, they couldn't sell it in their marketplace.
Which is a lot of games, or was a lot of games.
Well, it's a lot of games. The way that DRM usually works is when a game is initially released, they have it on there, and then after a while, they're not selling as many copies. It's not as big of a deal if it gets pirated. Then they'll take it off, and it improves the performance. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a Netflix special, a documentary called High Score, I think. I talked about it when it came out. This is probably a couple years ago. It was all right. I mean, it was like any other Netflix special on video games. They cover all the usual bases, but they had touched on this a little bit about how games are disappearing. And there was one in particular, this game called Gay Blade that was made by this guy in the early 90s where you, it's an RPG game where you play as a gay character and the enemies are all, like evangelicals and hardcore right-wing people. But, and the game was lost. They interviewed the developer and he's like, yeah, I don't have a copy. And it's just, it's lost. And this was a fairly popular documentary. A lot of people watched it and promptly forgot about it, like most things on Netflix. But I think it got enough notoriety that it reached somebody who had a copy of the game and they did find it. So it's back out there again. And the people that like care about this stuff and preservation, like a lot of the things, the reason why like Steam and Epic can't play much of a role in this is because of like licensing and those types of issues. So you see a lot of this preservation done by the fans, and it borders on piracy too. There's really not any way to avoid it. But the reason that a lot of things, and this kind of bleeds over into movies as well a lot. You look at something like the Project 4K 77, where people are taking, just fans who know what they're doing, are taking 35 millimeter prints of Star Wars and digitizing them and putting them out there with a film grain, just like total grindhouse. Like this is how it looked when you saw it in the theaters in 1978, the original sound, and just going through like all the steps to restore this and keep it intact. Like nobody's going to do that for a profit. Nobody can, because it's illegal. You technically can't do that. So I don't know. I think piracy actually plays a big role in preserving media.
Bobby, how does public domain work? I don't know if you're an expert on it, but like I thought after 20 years, doesn't that kind of open up?
I don't know if it's 20 years. It depends on what it is, but yeah, public domain.
Depends on the medium.
Yeah, if something's in the public domain, it's free for anybody. But there's other things like fair use and copy. I used to teach copyright. I used to bore the hell out of these kids when I did my section on copyright. But it's really actually fascinating stuff and very confusing, which is why this stuff usually goes to court. But yeah, public domain is like really old stuff.
Yeah, I think Winnie the Pooh hit public domain a long time ago, but then like it got rehashed out and now it's not in public domain anymore.
Yeah, and the big companies like Disney, they always do stuff to get around putting their stuff in public domain. So it's very, if you've got like the money and the power, you can kind of override that stuff. So.
Yeah, I believe it's 75 years is the public domain like absolute, unless you figure out a way around it like Disney does. Because people were talking about like, oh, these are the IPs that are going to hit the public domain sometime soon. But that's why, like, for example, like Scooby-Doo has had so many versions come out is because like Warner Brothers is constantly making sure that it's not going to go to public domain. Because like, once again, like my daughter's been super obsessed with Scooby-Doo, and she's like, I'm like, all right, let's put on Scooby-Doo, and there's like 80 seasons of it. I'm like, who the fuck is still making Scooby-Doo? And it turns out HBO is. They have like legit, like in 2022, they made 50 episodes of nothing but just guest episodes. So
wow,
it's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
What's the next question we got?
Oh, next question. Sorry, I was looking something up. I went to a convention a couple years ago on, it's like a huge teaching, educational convention. It's called QUE. And I sat through this panel that was really good. And I wish I would have known about this before, back when I was teaching video production. But there's this website called copyrightandcreativity.org. And it's like, they basically did all the work that I had to do to create curriculum for teaching copyright to kids and they have it for every age level too. But most people know very little about copyright, and honestly, like it would be beneficial if it was explained to them like they were in elementary school. So that's actually like a pretty good resource if you're trying to teach that stuff. Last question we have is from Tom. He says, what video game track or tracks gives you instant nostalgia? Mine would be the Theme of a Love from Final Fantasy IV or Stickerbush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2. And then in Discord, Be Kind Rewinded also commented that he had a Sega Master System and the theme for Alex Kidd in Miracle World was imprinted on his brain. So what songs are imprinted on your brain?
For me, probably Tetris is a big one that comes to mind. Tetris theme song. Definitely Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind theme song for sure. Lose my shit when I start here. Well, honestly, even when I hear like the Skyrim or Oblivion theme song, I love that too. Or the main menu song. I don't know. Otherwise, Borderlands 2 with the Shortchange Hero by The Heavy. That one always gets me too. It's a good one. But yeah, what about you guys?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Skyrim, always. Any note from any song in that whole thing, I love. I mean, to the point where like it gets me excited. It really moves me. That all that shit, all that fucking Viking gelling and fucking war chants. No, it's crazy. And then, dude, I forgot about Borderlands 2. They introduced me to Cage the Elephant, and I bought that album, and I loved every fucking song of Cage the Elephant. I love those guys. The Heavy, they're awesome too. The music was a big part of that game. I think people forget because everybody talks about the comedy and the gameplay and all the other stuff. But yeah, the music was a huge part. And then Bastion. Always the narration, and then also the songs, especially Build a Wall. I always talk about that game.
Mine's going to be an unexpected one for me because I'm usually a PlayStation guy, but the opening theme for Halo. Just the Carthusian monk like chants to the like rock and roll. It's just like so fucking cool every time I hear it. Sometimes I'll play it in my car. So yeah, it's definitely like when I hear it, I'm like, oh, Halo, what's going on right now? Like,
Such a good one. Yep.
But yeah, what about you, Bobby?
I feel like you guys are picking a lot of more modern things than I would have expected. I don't know.
I think it was like 9 when Halo came out, or 10 when Halo came out.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're a little younger than us. I don't know. There's so many songs I remember from video games. One in particular that gets stuck in my head a lot is from Super Metroid. I think it's the prologue. I think that's what it's called. It's like when you first start the game, or it might be at the title screen. I'm not sure, but back when you couldn't really tell, or you couldn't, music in those games was very, very, what do they call it? Like chip tune, or it wasn't like 8-bit. It was really low quality back then. And what's been so incredible is like these occasions where they have these video game music performances and they play one of these old Super Nintendo or Nintendo songs, but with a full orchestra or with vocals or something, and you hear it and it sounds completely different, but yet very familiar. And it's like, it just has a whole nother life to it. I noticed that with, in Final Fantasy III, there's that whole part where you have to take part, you play a role in an opera, and one of the characters sings, and at one of these video game concerts, like someone sang that, and it just sounded incredible, because it wasn't like this low bit or this low quality chip tune. But I would love to hear that Super Metroid song just done with a full orchestra. I think that'd be incredible. Maybe they've already done it. I should look on YouTube.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think you should. That's what I usually do. If there's something that I like from video games, I always look up if there's like an orchestral version.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if that, I feel like Metroid is a popular franchise, but I don't know if that particular one, like people would really, the music in that game is just absolutely incredible. It's just so like sci-fi synthy, like the whole soundtrack to Super Metroid, and that game in general is just one of the all-time greats in my opinion. But yeah, I'll have to look around and see if that's out there. All right. Guess that's an episode.
Hey, Bobby, because the only Final Fantasy you ever bring up is Final Fantasy 3, because it's the only one that you've ever played.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, I was like, I wonder how it ranks, compared to the other ones. And it's just the first list that I picked up. It's from comic book thing, whatever. But it is from Metacritic. And Final Fantasy 3 is second to the last in worst one, but it's still a 79. But
second to the last,
yeah,
for the worst.
For the worst, yeah.
So wait, so number one would be the worst.
What? You're not explaining this.
I think I understand what you're saying. It's second to the last. It's the second worst one. Okay.
Second worst one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm guessing 7 is probably the best.
Let me see.
I mean, dude, that's a Super Nintendo game. They got a lot better, I'm sure.
Well, being new doesn't make so. I mean, this. So 9 is the highest score one.
Really? 9. Okay.
Yeah, 9.9.
Wow.
I've gone back and played Final Fantasy 3 many times, and it's maybe it's because I played it so much, but you really just do the same thing. It's like this character is always going to do this, and then once I unlock the chainsaw with Edgar, I'm always going to use that, and then once Sabin gets this ability or whatever those were called, like I'm always going to use this one. Like it's a lot more linear than when I was a kid and kind of figuring it all out, and I thought, oh, this is so cool and expansive and such a big game. Like there is not much to it. I'm sure they got way better.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of tricks to make you feel like the world was much bigger than it actually was. Like any game that has a world map and you're like, well, I can go anywhere, but there's really only 4 cities.
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes you feel like Japan
has the illusion of of choice.
They call Street Fighter 2 the World Warrior, but there's only 8 places you can go.
Yeah. All right, what's everybody playing next week? Baldur's Gate 3, I'm assuming.
Armored Core 6.
Baldur's Gate 3, yeah.
Ooh, Armored Core 6 is coming out. That's right. I saw a commercial for that on TV.
Dang.
Wow.
It's incredible to me that you saw a commercial, dude, more than... Because...
My girlfriend gets cable through Hulu. Yeah, through Hulu. And yeah, it's commercials all the time. It's so weird to me to see that. I hate commercials, but yeah, dude, they're pushing that game.
What is so good that you guys are willing to put up with commercials to watch?
It's usually it's just when we're doing something else. I'm working on my laptop. We just put something up on the screen, and we don't want to have to click on things. So
yeah, I heard that people are getting like cable television through Hulu now, and it's like $70 or $80 a month, and I'm like, wait, I feel like we're going backwards here. I thought we were cutting.
It's all the same, dude. I was thinking about that. It's just like, how far have we really come? You know,
yeah,
it's not that expensive.
Right back.
I think it's like $40, but you can get all the add-ons. You can bundle it with Disney. You know, in Europe, like Disney and Hulu are the same thing. I don't think they have Hulu there. I think all the Hulu stuff is just put in with Disney Plus, or maybe it's the other way around. But yeah, dude, it's like. They repackaged it in different ways, but we're doing the exact same thing we were when we had cable, you know?
Just a quick rundown real quick. What do you guys subscribe to? I got Netflix and obviously Prime you have to have,
and you mean like what does my girlfriend subscribe to?
Does she get them? Yeah, I knew you. What about you, Nick? Do you have them all? I know you have HBO.
No, you have my HBO, by the way.
Yeah. That's why we all pay for it.
No, I have Netflix, Disney Plus, because I have a daughter who's 3.
It's kind of a must.
And then I have Amazon Prime. That's it.
Did you have any?
I just have Netflix, I have Peacock and Paramount Plus, and then I share a lot of people's accounts then. I've got like my sister, Disney Plus, I've got some people with Crunchyroll, and I don't have HBO Max though. I mean, I definitely have Amazon Prime. I own that. Hulu I have through Spotify. Like when you whatever do the Spotify Premium, you get Hulu with it, and so things like that. Apple TV, I just have somebody's account that I watch off of. So like I try to get all of them, but yeah.
Netflix just instituted their whole anti-account sharing thing.
And, I know it sucks.
Yeah, I had to deal with it, and it's funny because I used to share my account with my mother-in-law who's in Mexico, and somehow it thinks that she's the primary fucking holder, and I had to fight with Netflix for like 30 minutes trying to get a hold of my own account. I think it was harder because it was in Mexico, you know. But anyway, I was just curious what people is there people out there that subscribe to everything still? But I guess it's a mix of subscribe to 2 and then borrow 8.
Pretty much. That's how we're all making it happen.
Bobby just jumped straight to the borrow 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
My girlfriend has everything, but dude, honestly, at least when it's me and her, I don't know what she watches when I'm not there, but like when it's me and her, like 90% of what we watch is on Hulu. It's like we could get away with just
Hulu's one of the best.
Hulu did a very good job of just like partnering with everybody and packaging themselves with everything and just like being
like everything that was syndicated, they grabbed. So it's like, you know, it's got Seinfeld, Family Guy, American Dad, like all the cartoons that I watch. Like, yeah, they just seem to have like everything that I want to watch, and like a all right selection of movies too.
Last question, Bobby. Are you still restoring old cartoons?
I haven't had as much time. Work is picking up, so I haven't had as much time. But yeah, I'm still messing with that. It's
I was feeling, dude, that has to be valuable to somebody. Somebody who needs content for their thing, you could probably just fucking sell it to them or something. A whole seasons of like some old shit that look like garbage.
Not everybody likes upscaled stuff, though. It does change the look of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you are creating stuff that wasn't originally there, like in the animation. So I don't know. Some people don't really care for it.
Yeah. All right. That's in a show. Okay. I guess that's on me.
You gonna sign us off there, Titty Man?
Yeah. Speaking for Bobby, Amanda, Nick, and myself, Boulder Titties. Bye.